When markets just absolutely tank, it's not just about the price on your screen. It's really about the pressure on the technology that's running everything underneath. So today, we're going to break down a real-life stress test for the Cardano ecosystem and see what actually happens when the chaos hits. Let's get into it. So get this. This was the message from a project right in the thick of the storm. As markets were going completely wild, the real test wasn't for the traders, it was for the technology itself. The real question was, could the code actually handle that kind of pressure? Okay, so picture this. You've got extreme volatility, you've got the network getting clogged up, and you've got stablecoins swinging way off their peg. This is the kind of stuff that can absolutely shatter protocols and just drain all the confidence out of an entire ecosystem. And that, right there, is the million-dollar question. Look, it's one thing to look good when the sun is shining and the markets are calm, right? But what happens in a crisis? How do these projects respond? Do they thrive? Do they just survive? Or do they take these huge protective measures? Well, as we're about to see, the answer was kinda all of the above. All right, first up, let's talk about the projects that didn't just weather the storm. Man, they seem to thrive on its energy. This is a story of what happens when you perform under pressure. So, right in the middle of all this chaos, there's one protocol that wasn't just surviving, it was absolutely flying. Strike Finance saw its daily volume get close to an all-time high of nearly $10 million. This wasn't a system slowing down, it was like it was accelerating straight into the storm. And all that action? It paid off big time for its users. This number here, 62%, that's the APY, the annual percentage yield for the folks providing liquidity. To put that in perspective, in just one day, they raked in 500,000 ADA together. The protocol wasn't just working, it was incredibly profitable for the people keeping it going. And this chart? Wow, it just lays it all out there. In the 2 weeks right around this stress test, Strike Finance generated more in fees than all the other decentralized exchanges on the network combined. Think about that. More fees mean more activity, more trust. It's a pretty stunning sign of dominance during such a critical time. And hey, this wasn't just a one-off thing. Fluid tokens, another huge lending protocol, also stayed online, running smoothly. And they pointed to a key reason. They use decentralized oracles. Now, oracles, you can think of them as super secure data feeds that give the protocol real-world price info. Because they're decentralized, users could still manage their positions even if the main website went down, which is a huge deal. That shows some serious deep-down resilience in the design. But thriving on chaos wasn't the only play we saw out there. Some projects made a very different and pretty gutsy choice, a tactical pause. So right in the thick of it, Liquid Finance, a really big player in the space, made a pretty shocking call. They just hit the pause button. That's a bold move, right? And for some people, it was definitely controversial to just pull their platform offline like that. So what does that even mean, a pause? Let's break it down. First, all the markets were frozen, so no new borrowing or lending. Second, you couldn't create any new debt. And crucially, it protected all the existing debt from getting liquidated by those insane price swings. And finally, they even took the user interface offline. It was a total temporary shutdown, all designed to basically build a firewall for users against the crazy market. So why on earth would they do that? Well, the team came out and said it was all about protecting borrowers in a market that had just become impossible to deal with. With stablecoins depegging and transactions failing, they felt pausing was the only responsible move. And this wasn't just the team going rogue. The project's governing DAO, the community voters, they had already given the team these emergency powers for exactly this kind of situation. Okay, but let's zoom out for a second. An ecosystem's health, its real strength, isn't just about how it reacts to market swings minute by minute. We gotta pull the lens back and look at the foundational work that just keeps on going no matter what. And this is so important for understanding the big picture here. Because while the whole DeFi world was getting hammered, the high-level strategic stuff, the real long-term building, it didn't miss a beat. For instance, check this out. Totally separate from all the market madness, a core developer from the ecosystem sat down with the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, for almost 2 hours. And just look at what they were talking about. This wasn't about daily price charts. We're talking agentic AI, digital sovereignty, a deep dive into Cardano and layer 2s, the tech that makes blockchains faster and cheaper. This is the stuff that builds the future, way above all the market noise. And it's not just that high-level policy stuff either. Down on the ground, you've got projects like Trifecta building actual solutions for the real world. They met with an education tech exec who was just blown away by their tech for revolutionizing student administration. Now, that is about long-term adoption and real utility, the kind of work that builds value that actually lasts. Okay, so we've seen protocols that absolutely crushed it and protocols that hit pause. We've seen the big picture strategy, but what about everyone else? What was the general vibe on the ground? Well, let's just take a quick look across the board. You had Surf saying, yep, all systems are go, working flawlessly. You had Bodega Market, which is an insurance protocol, hitting this huge milestone of 400,000 ADA in claims paid out. Even smaller community projects like Golden Snakes, they were processing payouts, running NFT giveaways. The point is, everywhere you looked, the building, the operations, the community, it just kept chugging along. So, when you step back and put all these pieces together, what's the picture you get? You get this incredible, multi-layered picture of resilience. You've got some projects thriving on the chaos, others making these really deliberate moves to protect their people, and all the while, the high-level strategy and the grassroots community work just kept on trucking, completely uninterrupted. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to chew on. I mean, this stress test showed us two totally different, but you could argue totally valid, ways of being resilient, playing out in real time. So what really defines a strong ecosystem? Is it the ability to stay open and thrive no matter what's thrown at you? Or is it the wisdom and the courage to hit pause and protect your users when things get too crazy? You know, maybe the real answer is that a truly robust ecosystem has to have room for both.